Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Christy Sawyer here. How are you? Where are you? Who are you? What are you? I'm going to try and wrap what's left of my cognitive function around what is going down at the moment. Yeah, I'll start with my notes. Okay, so I had a big download this morning, which was about the photonic belt, which I've been researching for years. And the photonic belt is reported by Wiki as a spiritual belief. So it's very much shut down. There are brilliant people coming forward to help us understand where this has shown up in history and what the changes are going to be. And that's connected to Alcyon, which is one of the stars in the Pleiades constellation, which answers a whole lot for me and why the Pleiades comes through so often. So you'll have heard me talk about photonic light and how it kind of triggers the dematerialization of the self, so we have more space, but we're so used to being in a container and cloistered and being able to touch the walls of the subconscious, that without those walls, and those walls come down and we have the space, it's like a rat that's been in a cage and the cage door is open. There's that, I don't know what to be in this. Okay, so I'm going to share a really good video, which is very grounded, lots of science behind it. But I would guide you to check your fixed stars in your natal chart and see where Alcyon is, Pleiades. Okay, so we have the merging of realities. This is what's happening, and I don't think it's going to let up. This is, you'll have heard me speak about the existential shift. In some, it's going to look like an existential crisis, and we're in it. It's happening. I described it this morning as downloading a Tolkien book, one every second. It's just vast amounts of energy, information, triggers, memory chips, all coming in. It's all coming in at once. Okay. So the merging of realities and the lifting of subconscious programming, which are creating gaps in spaciousness. And it might feel like standing still and doing nothing, and yet in this underlying overwhelm. So last week, there's so many videos I wanted to get out last week, but I just couldn't. So busy. And I wanted to get ahead of the Saturn moving into Aquarius, moving into Pisces. You see, I'm all over the place. Saturn is moving into Pisces, and I wanted to do a big video about that, but I'm doing it. I'm in it. I'm in Saturn in Pisces, because what that's going to ask me is, how can you bring focus now that you're in the vast ocean of the collective unconscious? How are you going to bring focus to that? So it's another layer of learning. It's like this last 3 years, Saturn has been moving through Aquarius since 2020. So what's that restriction in the collective? Looks like COVID and restriction and lockdown. And some have struggled in that. And some have risen. Some have really turned back in, start doing that deep inner work. So it's like I'm standing waiting for a bus and I'm watching buses go by. It's that. So I haven't managed to get ahead of that Saturn shift, which is coming in on the 7th of March. Saturn is moving into Pisces, and it's just going to ask that question. Yeah, what are you going to do with all this? How are you going to build this? I've lovingly suggested this might be the beginning of the spiritual business. based on the feminine, with the masculine supporting, because when I tune into the energy, it's not like Saturn, god of time. It's not, it just, god of restriction. It doesn't feel that, doesn't even feel masculine. It's very gentle and holding and supporting. So yeah, that's going to happen. We have when's the moon? March 7th. Okay, so we have a full moon happening at 16 degrees of Virgo. There's that tower point, that 16 energy. It's Uranian. This is the tower happening in Virgo, the 6th house of relationship to work and the mundane. So that's going to ask about daily practice. It's going to ask about sacred commitment, commitment to the inner universe, sowing seeds, planting seeds, getting ready for harvest. Depends where you are on your journey. So those two are going to collide on March the 7th. Saturn will enter Pisces and the full moon will happen at 16 of Virgo. And I may not get to make specific videos about that. Astrology seems to be weakening and dissolving. So I'm being so how I'm using Saturn in Pisces is I'm letting it pass me by. That's my new movement. I'm letting it pass me by because something else is coming in that needs boundless space. Okay, let's go back to my notes. Standing still, doing nothing, and yet in this underlying overwhelm. And so with that, Saturn, Pisces, I'm going to bring Pluto in a minute, but the whole lot is this amalgam of deep water, deep water. And so the themes I'm seeing coming through in the collective are overwhelm and futility. People wanting to punch their ticket, not because they're in some dramatic death cycle where they want to commit suicide. It's very enlightened. It's like, I've come as far as I can go on this timeline. I'm bloody exhausted. I'm going to punch out. But that always comes, it's like, I'll share the analogy I was given 100 years ago, and it's a beautiful analogy that stands the test of time. And if you imagine a bracelet made of little white beads, and slowly the beads start to turn grey, and the grey gets darker and darker and darker and darker until the last bead is black. But the bead after that is white. And so as we do our healing, we spiral down and down and down into that narrow point, that pinch point where the egg timer gathers. Down and down and down, and then out into this space where the light is. And the futility is what all of this photonic light, because it's just amassing. It is amassing. And I'll read some symptoms out in a moment because it's going to ramp. It's just going to ramp now with all the change coming. It's like, if you go back to the what if it all happens at once, that's coming in. And it's like in this hand, we can like see this. Oh, wow. And in this hand, we're tired. And it's going to be, it's the law of polarity. And how do I bring these opposite poles together to reconcile them? How can I do the soul forge work to push them together and create a new element? How can I bring that exhausted self that wants to punch out to this holy wow? This is beyond my wildest. Okay. So that's what it's doing actually in that moon energy. It's going to reveal the hidden exhaustion that we've been sitting on, unable to express. Okay. Yeah, standing at the bus stop, watching all the buses go by. Futility, wanting to check out. And you might start seeing what you've been doing for perhaps years is the thing you've been yearning for or trying to do now. It's like, yeah, here's another video I missed, the melting of the glass wall that came in 2.5 weeks ago. And I was shown the glass walls in the subconscious mind that let me see that pen, identify that pen, label that pen, but never be able to touch it and integrate it and take it back. They're all coming down, the walls of the mind, they're all coming down. So you're going to start seeing, and it will be like this beautiful layered soul reintegration. I was that all along. I've been doing that all along. And what's that going to trigger? That's going to trigger loss, grief, death. I haven't been able to get to that. An explosion of love as we take that back. It's a beautiful energy. So, yeah, the intensity of excitement, anticipation, meeting the exhaustion and frustration of having waded through karmic treacle for so many lifetimes. The paradox is here. How can we hold both? Is the question. See if we can get some answers on that today. Some symptoms, headaches, an increase in tinnitus. Doctors still can't explain what tinnitus is. So if you tie it to your timeline, if I tie tinnitus to my timeline, it started where about 30 years ago when I started exploring energies. Okay. So the tinnitus intensifies. Sudden hunger, thirst, and sickness. Like I ate an hour ago and I'm starving. Okay, so lots of belly changes going on. Dizziness and dissociation. So you might feel yourself start to lift up and out. So have a good grounding process. Have a good another paradox here. The paradox is about grounding. The paradox is, what are you grounding into? There's a healthy question. Because in order to elevate and expand, we have to pull anchor up. So what are we anchored into? What are we grounded into? Sleep disturbance. Exhaustion and vitality all at the same time. Mental overwhelm, emotional overwhelm. I'm going to jump to Pluto. So Pluto has been wading through Capricorn since 2008. And on the 23rd of March, 23/3/23, Pluto enters Aquarius. So Pluto's coming into the collective. Okay, I'm going to bring the first card out. Pluto is coming into the collective. Pluto is death, rebirth, and transformation. Okay, Hades. What's hidden beneath the base? And for the next 40 years, Pluto will pendulum. Okay, from Pluto to Cap, Pluto, Cap, Pluto, Cap, and then it will nip into Pisces. Don't get hung up on that. So the reason I'm telling you that is there won't be one shift and Pluto will be in Aquarius for the next 40 years, 20 years, sorry. Is that it? That's it. Okay. So we begin with death and rebirth. Coming in on that eight energy, 8th house of Scorpio. Death, rebirth, sex, taxes, shared resources. If we're talking shared resources, so we're talking about soul contracts and entanglements. entanglements to one another, entanglements to a collective, entanglement to a planet, entanglement to a solar system. It's all coming in at once. So I'll pull a couple of cards on that death and rebirth. And we have, again, we had this recently, didn't we? Listen to your intuition. So Saturn in Pisces, you know, the sign of intuition. 11:33. Good Lord. Do you see? It's all coming in at once, coming in so fast. Right, yes, thank you. I'm being reminded of a mental note I wrote for you this morning, which was, when it all comes in so fast, grab a pencil and a paper, and if all you can capture is pilchard, turtle, sandal, and an orange. They're keys, they're your keys. And over the next few weeks, those keys will open doors and you'll, oh, wow. Okay. The subconscious will want to come in and add the pen, black. It's a magic wand. Okay. So when we follow our intuition, we transcend the subconscious, egoic subconscious that wants to label, because that's the job it's been given to do. And until we stand it down and teach ourselves how to free associate, which is easier than it sounds. Okay, free association is easier than it sounds. Intellect will want to come in with its clipboard and understand and label, shape and form. Intuition just wants you to listen in any way that you can, to listen, coming in on that beautiful feminine 20, the feet of the goddess, to kneel at the feet of the goddess. Without the prostration of self-delusion. It's not a higher than, lower than equation. It's a submission to, it's a surrendering to. So listen to your intuition, which is supported by embrace meditation. But there's two energy. And that's speaking again into sacred practice. Even if it's 10 minutes a day, just to stand in silence and be rather than do, just be and experience. Push your energy field out to witness the field. And again, it depends where you are on your journey. Okay. So, potent connections. Lots of star family alignment. It's going to be emotional. Lots of coming homes, just coming home. There's a lot of soul reintegration work going on in the collective, and it will feel like coming home. Katie Tunstall, yes, it feels like home. Okay. And as beautiful as that is, that's part of the sleeplessness, because the energy is so high. It's like my brain is hot all of the time. My brain is hot all of the time. It's relentless. But look at the level of healing. Look at the level of healing. And violet flame is literally a healing tool. It was used, violet light was used in COVID, sterilized wards and theatres. And we use it in the etheric, and we can call in the violet flame. Oh, that's sweet. They're showing me an image of somebody running a bath, like running a salt bath to do a cleanse. And they've got this imaginary ampule of pure violet light, and they're just pouring it. Yeah, and there's a challenge in there. Notice what happens in you as I say this. Are you open to that? Are you open to being able to harness the alchemy of ancient elements and use it in the etheric? Because, you know, that's another video. That's another video. Okay, right, I've got Saturn here now, saying you can bring that in because that's how Saturn is going to work in Pisces. So for those of you like on your path, for those of you that turned inward with COVID rather than project the fear, live in fear, you will have been building, again, this goes back to the, oh my God, I've been doing it all along, searching for my purpose. I'm doing it already, I'm in it, I'm living through my coding. But society wants me to push, drive, strive, wants me to be more. Jesus, just be what you are, you know. So it's an elegant movement. And Saturn is saying what you've been building, maybe without knowing it, is now coming in. It's coming in to this reality. Okay, so we're just ahead of a 3-year phase of dancing with Saturn in Pisces. It's just such a beautiful, I can only speak to how I'm experiencing the energy, and it's so gentle, powerful. So, healing, chamber of the violet flame. And then I've gone to the deep water. I can't remember the name of the cards. Everything's in the description box is a list of all the cards that I use. Keeping it in check, right? 8 again, 8. So much coming in on that 8. I've got the sand timer, the hourglass coming in. I've got the literally the death rebirth process of the evolution coming into the involution, because we cannot process shadow. We cannot harness light until we process shadow, and that polarity becomes equal. So the higher we go, the deeper we need to plant our feet. Eight, keeping it in check. Pay attention to what is going on around you, because you're going to learn how to speak a new language. And that's going to challenge everything in you that doesn't want to be weird or different or unique. You might be moving into something too quickly or missing some important details because intellect's in. The intellect's in. What is this? Oh, I know. This is like a black pen. What is this? I don't know. And that's okay. I don't know. Keeping it in check. The important details might come out of the pilchard orange key, whatever I said, in time. Okay. So we have Pluto and Saturn and the moon all in one reading. Ah, Lordy. So 7th of March, full moon in Virgo. In the light of the moon, a full moon can shine light on what you have been resisting. This can be anything from your fears to your soul's beauty, and both, all at the same time. So dive deep. This is a beautiful time to do shadow work. It isn't anywhere near as acrid, dry, as it used to be 10 years ago. This feels soft, loving. Okay, I'm just being told the relativity of how you experience a deep dive is equal to the fear. It will be relative to the amount of fear that you're wanting to process in this lifetime. So it will help you to take ownership of your journey and name it. I have fear and I want to process it. Rather, I'm not doing it. And that's okay too. And that's okay too. I love the image on this card. So this card is, shall I show you? Shall I? 24/6, space and time. It's 246. It's, wow, it's universal creation. It's the cross of creation. Use your sensitivity to know when to act. Okay, use your sensitivity and listen. I don't know what to do. Listen. Listen. Connect your heart to your head when determining what you would like. So bringing the mind into the heart. And I love this because part of me thinks she knows what it is. Octopus-like, but it's formless and still forming and undulating and moving and shape-shifting. It's many things all at once, layer after layer, all becoming. Okay. Where am I going? Is anybody else experiencing this with their card collections? The cards don't fit you anymore, like you've outgrown them, or the energy hasn't quite recalibrated. But having said that, I am drawn. No, I'm not. I was going to go to the lantern deck, but it's not here. Okay, good shout. Archetypes, good shout. Okay. So I'm going to bring the Death and Rebirth card right into the middle. And I'm going to pop some archetype cards on top of the Death and Rebirth. That's interesting. Where did I see that? There's one card that's the wrong way, that's facing up. I'm going to... Oh, okay. I'm going to put that in the middle. Thank you for that. Speak to Death and Rebirth. Through the archetype. There might be 3 little stories coming out here. Bear with me, guys. All right. So the card that was facing up instead of down is Lover. And I'm seeing the 2 of Cups, which is all about commitment. What are you joined at the hip to? And that can be, you can, if I go extremes, I'm joined at the hip to my beautiful sacred practice. I'm joined at the hip to my need to self-isolate, to reveal the beauty, to come back to soul, to do that work. And if I go to the other extreme, I'm joined at the hip to ancestral programming. And I'm struggling to believe that anything good can ever come of this. I'm struggling with my sense of exhaustion. And if I give in to that exhaustion, I won't be able to help that or serve that. I'll read the attributes. Light attribute, great passion and devotion. Yeah, indeed. You know, all the belly stuff that's going on at the moment, it's beautiful. Belly into base. This is Pluto reactivating the lower chakras and uplifting them so that we can transcend those primal urges to fight, flight, avoid, freeze, you know, to compete, compare. This is a higher expression of the lower chakras. I'm sorry, I'm distracted. Somebody's wheeling. Oh, it's the window cleaner. Bear with me, bear with me. Lover. I was reading the attribute, wasn't I? Great passion and devotion, unbridled appreciation of someone or something. So this is loving beyond reason. And it might not even be a human relationship. It can be anything. Because if we're talking relationship, then we're definitely talking about the house of Aquarius. We're definitely talking about how can I stand in this collective and bring my uniqueness? How can I be different in this collective? Can I stand in that? Can I stand in that knowing I might be judged? I've said this before, haven't I? You're going to get judged, learn to deal with it. Because when we learn to deal with it, you know, it's the light seer's 2 of Cups is absolutely beautiful. And it's this intertwined pair of hands that is kind of this, I've got you. They don't get you, and that's okay. So it's this sort of absolutely beautiful energy, just really coming home to self-love and self-acceptance. And what that will do is that will release the anchors to, I need that from you. I need you to validate me. I need you to identify me. It just creates confusion. Identify yourself. Your intuition will tell you who you are. It will show you who you are. It might show you something so radically different to the collective that it might be difficult for you, but that's the journey of a great soul. Judge, balancing justice and compassion, managing the fair distribution of power. Aquarius. The shadow side of judge, offering only destructive criticism, misusing business, legal or criminal authority. Well, we know where that's speaking to, don't we? So it's being elevated is, I can't stop you judging me, and I will stand in the strength of my own uniqueness, my own difference. You can't embrace my difference, but I can. It's that kind of authority. The personal authority of lover energy. It's profound. I can't get the words. It's very Plutonian. And there's so much love in it. This is why I want to let traditional astrology go. It's been happening for about a year now. Transcend, move through it. What's beyond this? What's beyond this is Pluto's bringing in this deeply loving energy. I notice my body is warming up as I'm speaking into that. So I'm harnessing fire in this lover energy. Shadow of lover, obsessive passion that harms others, self-destructive devotion, which is interesting because the underlying card in the healing cards is break addictions. And again, we're going to have to pull up anchor. I still want to do that thing that isn't good for me. And sometimes it's going to pull me back. But I'm just going to try that point where I reach for it. So I have an addiction to this black pen. And that moment when I reach for it, if I just pause there and turn inward and listen, my intuition will tell me why I'm doing that. It will tell me what I'm lacking, where the gap is, what that is filling. Break addiction. Okay, so lover and judge. And that's come out with mother. I've got Virgo coming in now. That's a beautiful energy. Mother. Nurturance, patience, unconditional love, joy in giving birth to life. Very Virgoan. Shadow. Smothering or abandoning children. Smothering or abandoning children. Children who have been abandoned tend to abandon themselves in favor of another because they've had to do it for their parents to get the love, to get that fake love. So it isn't without challenge to, there you go, that's the first addiction, to break the addiction of abandoning yourself. Instilling guilt in children for becoming independent, that's the big wound. And I want to speak to ancestral shame here. I first read about ancestral shame years ago. And it was when I was on Facebook, and my teacher was Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote Eat, Pray, Love. And she'd done a workshop and she was talking about ancestral shame. And ancestral shame is where the child exceeds the parent. And in a narcissistic, parental, global way of raising children, I cannot live through myself because I abandoned myself. And so I'm going to live vicariously through you. You will become an image of me, narcissism. Help me. Just lost the thread. Thank you. The thread is independence and ancestral shame. So a child that has parented the parents, let's say, in some way, can only parent the parents by shifting. So systemic order, there is a hierarchy to systemic order. Child, parent, grandparent, etc. So in order for the child to take on responsibility for the parent's unlived life, the child has to move itself out of its systemic obedience, up to parent and up to grandparent, to then parent down to the parent. So I call this the parentified child. It's the grandparentified child, in order to parent the parent that can't hold themselves because they've abandoned themselves. And the cycle goes on and on and on. So independence, when we become independent, we're going to have that ancestral poo churning, smelling in the background. I'm a bit afraid to do this and step out and be magnificent because I'll shame my parents, because that was never okay when I was growing up. This is big healing. look what's guiding us. I mean, the light coming in, the light, I just can't. I'm going to build a new pile. So I'm going to put that on top of that. That on top of those two. I'm going to move those up there. And then we're going to build the archetype. And then on top of, where's that going to go? It's going to go there. So we have lover, mother, judge. Lover, judge, mother. Okay, so we're clearing ancestral shaming. I don't know how long I've been recording. I think this is going to be a long one. Okay. And another little story that's come out with these 4 cards is Knight, Femme Fatale, Damsel, Detective. Where have I given away my power in the search to be rescued, is what I'm hearing. Where has it not been okay for me to rescue myself? Where has it not been okay for me to ride in on my white steed? And so the light attribute of the detective is speaking to great powers of observation and intuition. Cannot stress this enough. We're in Pisces season. Happy birthday, Pisces. We're in Pisces season. Listening to our intuition. What does my intuition tell me about this? Well, and the truth might be ugly, and the truth might be you didn't save yourself. You waited to be saved because you were disempowered as a child, or made numb or dissociated as a child. Became damsel, femme fatale, waiting for the night. But what if you become the night and elevate the night? Okay, I don't need to speak any more into that. Okay, I do. Shadow element of detective is voyeurism. It's the parents living their life voyeuristically through their children. That's narcissism. Falsifying information. That's where we lie to ourselves. I'm going to be really cruel here, and the lie might be, no, my parents do care for me. They might not have the blueprint, not because they're wicked and evil, but they might not have that blueprint that their parents should have helped them to build, so that they are able to love openly, with commitment, with devotion. And a detective will name those facts without judgment. It's okay. It's okay. It is what it is. Fabulous. Okay, I'll put that there. And the other little story is the colours, just the colours I'm noticing. Okay, so we have hero, heroine, these themes. Samaritan or rescuer. Child magical. Did we have this the other day? Child magical. Yeah, beautiful. If I put those two together, the child magical, seeing the potential for sacred beauty in all things, the belief that everything is possible. Everything is possible. It's here on the table. It's bringing beauty. It's the beauty way. I don't need to speak to Samaritan, hero, heroine. It's alchemy. It's like alchemy. What am I trying to say? It's recoding the blueprint of disabled paralysis of being a child. For some, trauma is so common on this planet. Since the beginning of the Piscean age, it's traded on trauma. Trauma is a commodity. Fear is a commodity. It's how you control the crowd. All right, let's start wrapping this up. It's Chris's favorite catchphrase. Where am I going? Not feeling that. Let's wrap this up, please. Right. I didn't pause there, and I should have paused because I noticed I shed hair all over the place, and there was one of my hairs on the detective card. And as I threw it away, I got a message about DNA. DNA, detective. What do we have? Oh my heavens to Betsy. Holy Star Gateway. I don't know where to start with this. So much love, so much love. This is speaking to duality or polarity. There's a choice. Duality is more intellectual. It's right or wrong, it's good or bad. It's like Matilda. I'm big, you're small. I'm clever, you're whatever he says, the mean dad to Matilda. There are so many more choices than the two. The two might be at the ends of the pole, but there might be 70,000 shades of white into grey, into black. It's that. Two is sensitive. The two is the sensitive and the emotional. It's the water. It's feeling your way rather than thinking your way. It's listen to your, everything's pointing towards listen to your intuition. And that's being held in the masculine. Oh, yeah. It's like the masculine is saying, so I can be more, I can be much more than this linear creation. Six. So we have the masculine, the sensitivity, the six of the grail. Can you see those? Yes, you can be so much more. Look at my rainbow body. Look at my connection to all my star families. Look at who I am, fully connected to this universe and others in this reality and others in this continuum and others. It's all flowing through me and I am unafraid. So, masculine and feminine, air, mind, higher mind, supported by It's like the holistic human, the holistic, multi-dimensional being has done it through love, healing with love. So we have these divine unions taking place. Divine unions taking place. No, I am not speaking to the great love of your life. I don't do readings like that. It may mean that, but I'm not speaking to that. So she's holding a black and white caduceus. She's holding him. He is held in healing. And he is holding himself in his light and his dark. Balance, scales, scales. She's holding the universe. She could be Pisces. She could be Pisces. She's holding the universe and he is holding himself in his dark and in his light. I think that's it. I think that's it. Okay, beautiful souls. I'm going to leave you with that little lot. I'm certainly going to watch this back. I think there's a lot of keys in here. And the energy is going to ramp. March. Anything could happen. Spirals of justice and injustice. Spirals of creation and destruction. Harmony and disharmony. Wow, this is It's a convergence. It's a humongous convergence. Choices, lots of two energy, lots of choices. You are free to choose. Free to choose. Always were. We always were. 1212. The mirror of personal authority. Goodness sake. 1212, that's it. Personal authority, you are free to choose. My darlings, that's it. I'm gone. I will see you when I see you. Adios. Please like, share, subscribe. Drop me a comment. See you soon. Bye.